Right now on Full Custom Garage, Master Metalman Ian Roussel continues the Lead Sled Challenge.
The main thing I knew bringing the car over to Victor's was that his head was going to be spinning with ideas.
He looked at me and said, oh, that's a good idea, but I could see in his mind, I thought I was done.
I'm feeling like the world-class mountain climber that just summited Everest, and Victor's in the back of the car with like a whole new battle plan.
I want this sucker to bulge.
But Victor's surprises don't stop there.
I've been thinking about giving this car to Craig.
Okay.
The only thing is, his birthday's in a couple weeks.
With the pressure on, Ian's got a plan to pull it off.
There's nothing like hitting it when there's inspiration in the air, so I'm telling Victor, let's just cut it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
When he was talking to me, I didn't quite understand what he was trying to tell me.
Who cares how much effort it takes to get there?
Wow, that's right on.
It's the end result that counts. A while back, I had this crazy idea. I wanted to take this old Packard and convert it into a lead sled for my friend Tom.
Oh, man.
Came out pretty cool, and then Victor saw it.
I said, hey, Ian, you think Tom will ever sell the car? And he said, you kidding?
Victor wanted me to come over, some kind of consultation. I'm walking down the driveway, and the Packard's already there.
Surprise, I got the Packard. I don't want to change that much, but I want to change everything.
Victor comes in and just wipes the slate clean.
Check it out, I got your clip. They said, that's not gonna work. I said, I know it's not, but Ian will make it work.
Took a bit of doing, but I got the body on.
That's it, man. I brought you surprise, so come on out and I'll show you what my idea is.
Victor says he's got something out in the driveway.
1950 Mercury, it was another project.
This nose piece is a game changer, but it's gonna take a little bit of doing though.
The modification isn't over yet.
Okay.
I really want to get this thing to my house.
The whole thing with taking the car over to Victor's house is now it's in his ballpark.
And I still got some tricks up my sleeve.
This thing has the potential to go totally off the rails. This Packard's come a long way. I got it over here to Victor's. He was saying he needs to check it out in person, kind of ruminate on it. There's one or two things left for me to do sheet metal-wise, and this thing's almost a wrap. All right, so this is pretty much all the fab in the hood, aside from the scoops. I'm gonna finish these two scoops by the time he gets here, and we're good to go. I don't know where the idea first came from for these scoops in the side of the Merc hood, but you see it all the time. It's a really cool thing. It breaks up the side profile of the hood a little bit. My original idea was putting them more towards the middle of the hood, but Victor wants them further back. I'm a little unsure if this far back is really gonna work or not. The only way to figure it out is to mock it up and see what it looks like. The whole thing about this vent is it's all about placement and the shape of it. The reason this idea works on the Merc hood is because there's a huge indent that people cover over. The Packard just doesn't have that. The whole thing is just trying to get this thing to work. The process here is pretty simple. Just make this piece of sheet metal fit the hood and put a curve in it. The whole thing about this location change is I don't have the shop set up the way I typically would, so it's all about improvisation. The thing about this is it's a section of a cone, so I'll try to just push it. So I got a piece of pipe I found. Victor has a sheet metal brake. It's pretty basic, but I think I could pull it off. If you ask Gene Winfield, for instance, how they did it back in the 50s, he might say this was the same technique. It's as old as history. I got both these pieces formed. They look good. Tacking this thing on, and Victor comes in.
Ian, how you doing?
Hey, man.
All right, you got the scoop, huh?
Yeah, I did all the detailing on the hood, and I just wanted you to check out the scoop before we finalize it. They're kind of mocked up.
I really can't tell. Can we drop the car on the ground?
Yeah, I just jacked it up.
Yeah, we'll be able to see how it looks in proportion to the size of the hood. I walked in and Ian finished the scoops. I wasn't really sure how they were gonna come out because I had placed them more towards the back, and then they look kind of funky. For sure, it doesn't need to go back. A little forward, just to see.
I just wasn't feeling this first vent and its location, so I was telling Victor, stand back, let me move it around, tell me what you think. 4 eyes are better than 2.
Yeah, that looks more in proportion. Yeah, I think about right there, that's it.
By moving this vent around, you know, you hit a sweet spot. I tacked it in place and then stood back, and I concur. This thing is looking good.
That's it right there. Actually makes it look meaner. Yeah, it just breaks that up. Now, the hood, instead of being 20 foot long, now it's only 10 foot long.
Right. Well, if you're cool with the placement of those scoops, I'll just finish welding them in. That's a no-brainer. There's a lot to do on this front grille, so I don't know where you're going with that. I got these scoops pretty much finished up. The positioning is working for me. Hopefully Victor is in agreement.
How's it going?
Good, man. I just finished grinding all this stuff down. You got a couple scoops.
This looks good. I mean, what a difference.
So the scoops took a little while to weld, so I didn't warp everything. I took the stock Merc bumper and I narrowed it because we narrowed the nose underneath the headlights, remember?
And the first glance, it looked like nothing was done to it until I really looked and said, hey, them bumpers aren't too long anymore. Yeah, so where did you cut the bumper from?
I narrowed the overrider on each side so it doesn't even mess with the chrome plating. And then I narrowed it right behind the license plate so it looks like it's a factory bumper, just a little bit narrower.
Perfect, yeah. Clean cut. Actually, it looks factory done.
I think the whole goal that we're going for here is this subtle kind of makeover. You're not seeing any real hard lines of modification. It all just kind of flows, and I guess that's really the end result Victor's looking for.
Yeah, the bumper looks great. Before we could commit to the grille, I want to commit to the headlight covers.
Victor pulls out these headlight bezels for the front end restyle. We've been using them the whole time, but he tells me he's been thinking.
Last night when I got up at like 4 in the morning, I mocked these up. Then I remember I had another set and I actually put the light bulbs in it. So I got one more set. I've already stuck the light bulb in there.
Victor has these aftermarket pieces you see on custom Mercs all the time. It's like a Frenched universal headlight.
And it fits right in, no extra modification, nothing.
They work perfect. They got brand new fancy bulbs inside, and it really gives the car a really face-forward appearance.
Now it's been cut, sectioned, chopped, straightened, length, and now it's French.
I think this is perfect. So we just weld those surrounds right to the fender, and that's it, done.
So we're committed now, let's get into the grille. That's another story.
I asked Victor what grill he was using, and he comes over with a wagon full of parts, you know, the swap meet thing.
I even modified the wagon to carry my equipment. This is my candy store right here. You know, I go to the swap meet here in California, Pomona, and just collect things. And I had a whole collection of grill over probably 10, 15 years worth of grill. That's option number one, a floating grill like off of a shoebox.
This grill works perfectly if you're building a shoebox. You can see the orientation of the headlights and the bumper make it look just like that car. I mean, that's an awesome center bar, but it just tells you it's a shoebox forward, and that's the thing. It's
and
like,
it doesn't go with the lines floating. See, this thing flows, and that just, it doesn't do it.
Yeah, it cuts it right across. Victor's really looking for my opinion in a lot of ways.
Option one, nada.
Nada. But still, it's not easy to put these parts on a Packard, so it's got to work out somehow.
Option two is a 53 Chevy. This might flow a little better.
Really works with these curves in the Merc opening, though. That's cool. The second thing up is this grill from, say, a 53 or 54 Chevy. It's a good-looking piece also.
That fits it and it flows. The only problem I see is, what do you see behind it? You see nothing but the radiator and all the lines of the modification we've done behind it.
It doesn't work with the overrider either.
Yeah,
you have to run just a blade bumper.
It fits, but it doesn't work. The grill, to me, is like a nose on a person. It has to fit right between the two headlights, which are your eye, and your mouth is the bumper.
Well, I don't think any of our choices so far are that good, man.
It just doesn't flow. So now I guess we'll go with option 3, which is the regular stock Mercury grill.
I think both Victor and I were just looking for that other thing, you know? We were both leaning towards the Merc grill because it's a classy look. We're just trying out other options because you never know. Wow, this works. Even being narrowed, it still doesn't hit it.
And it fits perfect because it covers
everything up.
everything, that whole big opening of this radiator.
It's like the car was made for it. The bumper fits, the grill opening fits. It's pretty much a keeper. The thing is so crazy modified, maybe just a little element of stock is what's gonna really make people wonder what went on here.
It looks like a stock Merc from the front. Once this car passes, they're gonna go, what the heck? I thought that was a Merc.
Hey, everybody's got their thing, right? Victor loves Mercs, and I think that's what we're doing here. We're building another Mercury out of a Packard. If we're using the stock grill, then it's a pretty simple fix to the side of this fender then. I'll cut off all this ridge here where the old turn signal action used to happen, and I'll just follow it around right into the wheel arch or the piece of sheet metal. You can see how far out this is sticking, but now we have this curve here dictating the curve of the fender. So the sheet metal, you can see, will just turn the corner. It'll go right around, and then the pan will connect through there. See, so this, I mean, obviously I'm covering up the wheel, but you see that's gonna follow this bumper right through.
Pull that cardboard back for me. I want to see something.
I'm just thinking about, let's finish this whole problem. Let's just get the fender put back together and move forward. Victor's like, hold on, I got a whole new idea.
Can we turn the cardboard on the other side? Let's see, I want to see something.
So if it's coming in.
Yeah, right there. So it's gonna kind of end there, right? Can we open up that whole wheel well with a radius there?
Oh yeah, for sure. That way it'll steer when it's low, because it's not gonna steer now. Victor's idea here is to radius the wheel opening. He wants to see the tire, because the car sits so low, the tire totally disappears. He loves the look of the white wall, but more importantly, for me, the idea is that it gives the tires the opportunity to steer. It looks awesome, sure, but to create this very complex shape, as well as filling in a hole, it's a pretty big deal. The problem with these custom cars, and with Victor, is, you know, sky's the limit. There is unlimited potential here. Every time we solve one problem, he's got more ideas to create problems with. Victor had to take off, and that's kind of his gig. He's the idea guy. Now it's up to me to just make it happen. First thing I need to do is finish out this sheet metal that comes around below the headlight. It's just gonna be one panel that wraps right around, mates the Packard fender to the Merc sheet metal. I don't have any of my regular tools here, so I gotta figure out how to form this stuff. The whole thing is, I'm looking around the shop for something with a slightly smaller radius than what I need on the car, because it doesn't actually stay the same shape you roll it into. It always relaxes a bit. You got two options. Roll of tar paper or a copper pipe. So there was like 3 or 4 rolls of tar paper laying around. I picked the one that looked like it matched best. Working out of the shop, you gotta make do. Their equipment's awesome, but there it is. Getting this sheet metal panel in place around the front of the fender, I know it's not right, it looks a little flat. I'm gonna build out the wheel arch and then take a look at it. I don't have a bender, so I'm gonna do the old tire trick. I've used this trick a whole bunch of times before I got my fancy equipment, and first thing I can think of is a Volkswagen rim, because you always need some of that, and I know it's gonna be the right radius. Back before all those fancy tools were around, that's how they used to do it. They would take the spare tire off their Model T, and they would curl it up. Takes a little muscle, but I got some to spare. I really just figured that radius was gonna be the right one. I mean, did you see me do any measuring? Look at the outtakes. I did that to that. It's when you know you're on the right life path. Things just fall into place. wheel arch is gonna work, but the sheet metal panel ain't happening. It's starting to look like a cartoon car, you know? The whole thing with this simple forming is that all it yields is a very flat shape. I'm gonna go look around. I know Victor's got a ton of parts around here. We gotta make the fender look right, and I'm just looking for other options. Back here in Victor's storage yard, I know he's had this Merc back here for a while that we've been using as the donor parts car. And yeah, now that it's revealed, I think we all understand exactly why this is a parts car. Somebody really screwed it up. Looking over the car, I could see why it was abandoned. I mean, whoever started the chop, they cut it apart pretty good. They just didn't know how to put it back together again, and that's what ruined it. I've seen some pretty rough work, but nothing quite compares to this chop top. So the parts I came over looking for aren't on it. So what I was thinking is I could maybe use this section of the fender, take this and flip it around backwards to the other side. They're both very strong, and the curvature matches the part of the Merc fender we're using. I think maybe these fenders are enough for me. I think the car was getting a little sentimental. It started to reattach itself, so it was a little difficult removing it. There it is. We really don't have much to work with, so there's only one way to find out, and that's to take them back to the shack and see if it fits. I got the Merc fenders back in the shop. I'll do a little slicing and dicing, see if I can make them work. The whole thing with these leftover parts is that it does have a really nice radius. The fender well opening is represented, and it's, you know, it's original Merc sheet metal. You can see clearly it's curved, but it also has a slight curvature this way. See, you got this nice undercurved section. It's nice and round. There's plenty of material to come up. So that's it. A little duct tape. This thing's done, ready for paint. The whole thing here is we're missing what we need. That's why I tried to make it. So now I'm gonna try to make it once more, and maybe this time it'll stick. The whole reasoning behind doing it this way is that you've got these awesome pieces of sheet metal that already exist. What's better than an original Mercury part, right? It looks great. It's just taking the other leftover stuff and making it work on the new part. I got the piece of Merc sheet metal fit on the car. It's welded up. It looks like it's gonna work perfect, but I need to cut out the wheel opening so that the tire will steer. I started the fender opening with this round tube, so I need to continue that detail right through to the bumper. So I'm gonna continue with the radius on top and then gradually angle it forward and then turn really sharp right into the bumper. Everything here looks good. I was just finishing cleaning it up, give it a once over with the sander, and Victor walks in.
Ian, how's it going?
Right on time, man. I got this thing pretty much nailed. Hopefully it's what you're looking for.
Look at the white wall on that thing. That's like right on. We wanted to see the wheel and tire. The radius on the tire is bitchin', dead on.
Victor walked in and he was all smiles and nods. He was liking it, and he didn't realize the amount of effort it took to get here, and we weren't going backwards, so he had the right response. I know you want it to look as much like the Merc as possible, so I took a section of the leftover front fender off your car, and I used that, and that's how the whole contour flowed out into the headlight area.
When he was talking to me, I didn't quite understand what he was trying to tell me. I mean, it looks like it was designed and built like that from the factory. This whole car's flowing, baby.
We're done. That's it. Send it to bodywork, and we're off to the races, man.
Does it turn, though? Does it turn?
So it looks great in the end, you know, both at ride height and drop, but my main concern was that the car will steer and the tire doesn't hit anywhere.
I've been thinking about giving this car to Craig.
Okay.
The only thing is, his birthday's in a couple weeks.
If we can get this into bodywork, this thing's ready, man. Bodywork and paint it.
I don't believe it's ready yet. After looking at the car, and especially now after I see this flow, I got some issues back here. I think we need to do a little bit more to this. So here it goes.
I'm feeling like the world-class mountain climber that just summited Everest, right? We did it, we're on to the finish, and Victor's in the back of the car with like a whole new battle plan.
Looking at the side of the car, it's straight. I don't want it straight. I want this sucker to bulge. I'm welling away with my hands like I'm always talking and pointing and stretching, and he's looking at me like, oh, shoot, what am I getting into now?
It turns out there is kind of a deadline with this car. Victor's planning on giving it to one of his employees, his right-hand man, Craig. That's the thing with Victor, he's got a million ideas and they all start flowing. Looks like the rear of this car is gonna be a whole new adventure. The main thing I knew bringing the car over to Victor's was that his head was gonna be spinning with ideas.
I've never sold, give away anything, any car I've ever designed or built. And in my mind, I go, hey, you know what? Who better can I give the car to? I mean, Craig, he's a good friend. He just so happens to work with me.
Craig has also been on the sideline through all the projects Victor and I have ever accomplished, so he's always been in the mix. I think he's gonna be really surprised.
First thing I want to do is let's make this a two-door. The main idea that I brought up to Ian, number one, this is a four-door. That's unacceptable. We're gonna make this thing a two-door. But the front door's long enough so we don't have to extend it.
Well, that's certainly a lot easier. The thing with that is if we do weld up the back doors, look how massive the B-pillar is gonna be. Typically you would lengthen the front doors if that was the look you're going for. It's Victor's idea to seal up the rear doors, and I'm all good with that. That makes perfect sense, but what happens is when you're looking at the B-pillar, it becomes this massive panel. You know, what if we just made it a hardtop? What if we just came and this was your window opening?
I agree, and that'll go with the whole flow of this car. Long hood, long side window, almost like looking at a limousine.
I mean, if you want to just commit to it, I can cut that off and we can get the look right now. But then it'll take me a couple of days to weld it all up.
I'm anxious now. Let's start cutting that sucker.
There's nothing like hitting it when there's inspiration in the air. So I'm telling Victor, this car is super strong. I got braces underneath. Let's just cut it. You'll see what I'm talking about. I've done this on a few cars in the past, and I know what this is gonna do. It's gonna give it this immense open air feeling. The side of this car is really closed off by the B-pillar and the window frames. As soon as I cut it, watch. Surgical precision. I kind of knew what this was going to accomplish, but it was really good to see that Victor was on board with it. He left it up to me to make it happen. Much like when I'm chopping a top, I'm thinking about the contour of the sheet metal and how I can reuse it to make it look perfectly factory. Just like when you do a chop top, you want to save all the contours because they're factory stampings. So this deal matches. I'm just gonna put it down there. You'll see, I'm gonna repurpose these old junk and make a custom car out of it. Reusing these pieces was a good call. The bottom piece was a little nip and it fit right back in. Unfortunately with the top, the length of it was more than what the pillar afforded me. As it turns out, this piece is just too small. See, I just got away with it on the bottom. And on the top, this contour changes a little bit right here, and we just don't have the material. See, it's been welded and fixed in the other chop. It's a pretty simple piece of sheet metal. It's just a straight shot with a curve in it, so it's not gonna be that hard to duplicate. It's just a time saver to reuse the old stuff. It's just gonna take a sheet metal brake and just kind of creep it in there and just pull a gentle bend in the sheet metal. So you could see, it's absolutely perfect. The thing is, once these weird issues are resolved with the way the B-pillar used to come out of the door, you can see it's a really straight, clean line. It's a big window, 6 foot long. I think the look is nailed. There's just a lot of detail stuff that needs to go into finishing it. I'm gonna finish the driver's side, do up the passenger side in the same way, and then it's ready to show to Victor. Two-door conversion looks great. I'm just kind of messing around, putting the tires back on. Victor comes in.
Ian.
Hey, man.
Hey, what's going on?
I got these, all the windows and everything wrapped up for the two-door swap.
Yeah, that's wow. That's right on.
Victor walks in and he's all about it. I could see he's doing the pace, you know, he's walking around, doing the manager stare. He's got nothing but good stuff to say. I guess it's good.
Day and night, I mean, with the pillars gone, it makes this thing just flow. I mean, the hood, the back, it's like, wow. Two-door conversion, hey, that was a natural, but to take the post off and make it, you know, a hard top, changed the whole look of this car. I mean, it's like the hood, this thing goes on for days.
I got this two-door conversion nailed. In looking over the rest of the project, I think we got a bigger issue in the rear fender wells. The front we've been working on so diligently, everything's worked out good. The airbag suspension, everything worked out fine, but what it added up to was the rear fender well. I can't get that tire back on. Victor's guys have done a considerable upgrade on the air suspension under here. It made the car incredibly low, but as I'm looking at it, there's no way this tire is gonna go back on. There's just no room for it. The whole deal is, you know, when this skirt used to be on here, you take it off to be able to change the tire, but the axle will be down here somewhere. But now, even with this tire, I deflated it. There's no way I can get it through here. It's just...
So the tire's deflated now?
That's what I'm saying. Why would you change a flat with a flat?
We didn't really notice there was a problem with the tires till we put the air suspension on it.
You know, there's a solution out there somewhere. It's just up to you what you want to do.
That's good because I got some other ideas anyway. I want to put some bigger skirts on this. Remember, it's supposed to be a Merc eater?
Right.
Well, we need to get some Merc skirts on it or something that looks like that. And I got some in my other yard. So let's go see what I got and see what fits.
Victor is a collector of numerous car parts. His process is just seeing something cool and storing it for a later date. So I'm excited to see what he's got. It's gonna be a little field trip.
This is my junkyard. Here's, I got some stuff back here. I forgot what I had. I haven't been back here.
You say your junkyard
years.
like there's only one. I haven't been to this part before.
Yeah, this is one I forgot about.
Walking over to Victor's yard, I'm seeing some pretty cool stuff that he wasn't telling me about. I recognize one of them, but there's three that I never seen before. It's like a 65 Lincoln, some kind of cool little Nash Metropolitan, and then some oldie 40-ish Chevrolet. Oh, wow, this is cool. What's this, oldie Chevy?
Yeah, something in
40?
30. Yeah, here they are right here. See if this thing even opens. Yeah, here we go. Check
cool.
that out.
Victor's in the back seat of this car, dusting stuff off. He pulls the first set of skirts out.
Oh, what does that say there? 51 Merc.
And there's a label on it that says 51 Merc. These are pretty raw, man. Somebody's just making these out of fiberglass.
Yeah, someone out of Pomona. You know me in Pomona. Here's one that's more completed, I guess. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Second, he pulls out this weird-looking pink thing. He's telling me it's a fender skirt, but it looks more like an old surfboard or something.
It's something you can modify, right?
Sure, and you got a pair of these too. We'll definitely modify the paint first, but...
Yeah, no, maybe we'll paint the car that color, who knows?
He's pulling out a whole bunch of different shapes. He's got these other ones, kind of like a round teardrop sort of shape, definitely for a car like the Chevy we're taking them out of. So there's a whole bunch of different ones to choose from, but nothing tells it like putting it on the actual car. The three options you have here look like they'll fit. We just put them on the car and see which one looks best, and I think we're good to go.
All right, cool, let's go put them in my truck. I'm hoping that we could use one of these just to bolt on to save some time, and hopefully it looks cool and we could get on with other parts of this project.
What's up with these freaking kiddie rides, man?
Yeah, no, I was in the helicopter business like your buddy.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right. You're doing a little helicopter
I figure if he
work.
could build a helicopter, repair it, I could do one too.
We got to put a chassis under this and cut this thing out. We're ready to ride, man. I'm always a sucker for the interesting stuff. You know, I've seen a million cars, but he's got these little, you know, coin-operated toys you see in front of the supermarket. He's got a helicopter and an airplane. Like you're 5 years old all over again. Whoa, it's a bucking Bronco. Getting these skirts back in the shop, so we're gonna line them up, tape them on the car, and see what develops.
Okay, this is it. Let's see what we could do with that.
I don't know, what's your first pick? My first pick is the 51 Merc.
All right, let's do it. Here it is. Do you have the magic
Yeah, the
Glue.
application tape. Got the application tape. How about right there?
It don't have enough bulk to it. It doesn't add that other like element. It's like too flat.
The whole issue with the Merc rear quarter is it's very flat, and these skirts represent that. Packard is much more curvy, so there's kind of a misalignment.
We need to get something longer. Let's try these other ones.
Pair to fast. Next on deck is Big Pink.
Proportion-wise, it's there. The shape is just another shape. It's the wrong, see the curves on the car? That doesn't got it, but I love the length of it. It's just out of proportion.
I like the way it steps off of the car, but that ain't the one. What I'm thinking about mainly with the second choice is that it's just way too square, you know? Victor's telling me he likes the fact that it's longer, but it's not the right shape. That's it, man. That's strike two. We only got one more. Our third choice was these kind of manufactured-looking skirts. They had no label on them.
These are off of a Merc too.
The contour of this one fits to the body better than all of them, so this just might be the one. Taping them up on the car, they look pretty darn close. Look at that, it's great.
The size is there, but it doesn't flow. It doesn't match the body. It's still too small. I like the way it bulges here only. From here to here, it's done. You're done here. But this I don't like. I have my
Envisioning tape?
envisioning tape.
Aha. In typical Victor form, simply taping this skirt on the car is not going to be enough. He's got his other roll of tape, his envisioning tape, and he's starting to draw lines on the car. So what you're looking to do here is bring that 2/3, 1/3 proportion to the skirt. You want that to come right up to where the old trim line used to be. That's why they put it there, because that line looks best. I get it. That's cool. While Victor's here, I want to mock up the shape of the fender skirts. Once we figured out the outside line of the skirt, it's just a matter of trimming the metal to fit and fastening it to the fiberglass. Victor's whole plan here is just completely covering up the old rear door. By having the skirt match up with the front door jamb, it's going to give the illusion that the two-door was always that way.
Yeah, that's it right there, man. That's it.
I think you're onto something. Victor liked the look of the skirts. I'm just going to replicate that in steel and get the car ready for bodywork and paint. This car is getting very close. The last few things are wrapping up. Victor's got his interior guy Lino on it.
Yeah, Lino, he's done a lot of interior work for me. He's done 4 or 5 cars for me. Lino, right now we're designing the seat. They're off of a 62 T-Bird, and we've already molded them into the back seat of the Packard, and they fit perfectly. On the interior, I wanted to keep with the theme of something in the 50s, right? We're going Merc Eater, right? Lino, show me how that's gonna look. Okay, you want to do some diamond tuck? Okay, good. Okay. One thing unique about Lino, he's deaf. And then what about here? What are you doing here? Here's the leather. I don't know sign language, but I don't know what it is. I understand exactly what he's telling me. In fact, that guy talks more than any guy I know. Okay, so that'll be just pure leather. Okay. Okay, he's gonna do a red seam here, okay? Okay, so it'll all match together, okay.
Victor and Lino are kind of like the odd couple. I'm not sure how they communicate, but somehow they make it work.
With Lino, he's the type of guys like Ian. The concept he was gonna do with my idea of the diamond tuck, and then he started showing me what he was gonna do on the outside and how he's gonna tuck it in, where the seams are gonna go. The guy goes to the next level. I said, you nailed it, go for it. Good, all right, that's good then, perfect. Now what are we gonna do with the front seats?
The typical mode with Victor is use what you have, and he's got these seats.
Okay, this seat is out of a 2004 Lexus Coupe.
I've been through this before. When you convert a 4-door into a 2-door, you can't use the same seats. In a 2-door, they need to flip forward, otherwise nobody's going back there.
This one, when you push the button, the backrest comes forward and the seat goes forward so people could get into the back seat because we closed up the back doors. Now, Lino, what are we gonna do here? Okay, first we're gonna cut off the old headrests because this doesn't go with the nostalgia of the old 50s car, so it's gonna be rounded off. Now, let me see what he's doing here. Okay, same thing in the middle. He's gonna do diamond tuck in the middle, and he made it proportionate to the seat. Most people would do big old diamond tucks. This guy put everything into proportion with the car. Look at how that's gonna look. The guy is good. He's just slow. When is this gonna be finished? I need this finished. We have such time constraints on this project just because it's Craig's birthday, and I wanted to give it to him for his birthday, not after. 1 day, 2 day. You hope? He hopes 2.5 days. I hope too, because if not, there won't be seats in the car. All right, good job. Hopefully, he could get this job on time. If not, Craig, he'll be sitting on a 5-gallon bucket.
Car's done. It's a wrap. Victor's guys got it all dialed in. My favorite thing about this car is that it looks 100 miles long. It's like that cartoon you saw with the big giant gangster car. It's exactly what this thing is. It's really stretched out. It's low, it's lean, it's mean.
That car looks great. I knew once I give it away, that's it, it's not my car. So I said, hey, I want to enjoy it while I can. We better take this thing for a test drive. And it drove so smooth. I said, hey, Ian, you want to drive this thing? And he looks over.
And I'm like, of course. It's what I came here for. Chassis swap was an awesome call. This thing drives like a new car. The gloss paint job makes it very classy.
We're driving. I said, pull over. I want to see this thing. When I stepped out and, I seen the car driving and looked at it in a wide open space, it was like, wow. I mean, this thing looks mean. I mean, like really, really mean.
I could tell from Victor's response, his expression as I'm cruising by, it's exactly what he wanted to see. He's a happy camper.
I looked, I said, hey, Ian, get out of the car and look at this thing. Let me drive by. I mean, look at it.
I was always sold on the rear view of this. I did the chop to my preference. Victor kept that in place. The thing that really turned me on about the whole thing was the nose. The way that the Merc was modified, just a little bit, car coming straight at you looks good.
I see him with his thumbs up and I seen the guy smile. I didn't think the guy could smile. He's like, whoa, I see teeth.
After the test drive, we take it back to Victor's shop. We pull it in next to his Mercs.
Let it down, parked it right next to my other 2 Mercs in the garage, and she fit right in.
Lino finished up the interior. It looks great. Leather upholstery, totally pro. Victor was able to get an original Packard steering wheel, and Lino modified the wheel to fit and the dashboard to cover all the existing late model stuff. It looks old, acts like new. I'm so charged up right now. I can't believe Craig is gonna get this thing. He's gonna flip out.
Yeah, I called him, he's due any minute, and I told him, hey, come down, check out my new car. I just completed it.
Yeah,
he has no idea what's gonna happen here.
It's a heck of a bonus. I don't know how Craig's gonna respond. He's a pretty cool character. It's all business. Let's see how this works out.
Wow, this thing came out beautiful.
Didn't that come out really cool? Check it out, man. What do you think?
Wow, you guys did a great job on this.
I brought you here, and I know today's your birthday, and all the effort and everything you've done, man, dude, happy birthday. That's your car we built. So this whole time, we've been building your car. I just paid you back all the effort you did for me, and that's your car.
No way.
Happy birthday,
really?
man. Yeah.
Thank you. For somebody to go ahead and do that for you, it's totally awesome.
Sit in it, turn your car on, drive it.
It took some time to go ahead and sink in that the car actually belongs to me, you know. Still as I'm talking right now, I'm not believing it.
Craig, man, you look good in that thing. Let me see, close the door.
Are you sure this is mine?
It's yours, I already told you, man. You just need the shades and you got it, man. Look at that face. A face only a mother could love.
This car is totally awesome. And to even own something that Victor and Ian had built together, it just, there's no words that could describe it. It's priceless.
I'm glad. The only car that I've ever given away goes to this man. And this just continues to inspire me for the next vision. And with Ian, anything's possible.
Victor redoing this Packard is proof positive that nothing's ever finished unless you want it to be. He's got me thinking about a bunch of projects of my own that just might need a little refreshing.
If it's done right, we could give a Merc a run for its money all day long. I see the Packard being a Merc eater and that people are gonna be buying up Packards throughout the United States. So if you have any money, start buying Packards.
Is it a Merc eater?
You know what, let's be honest. There's nothing that's gonna eat a Merc but another Merc. But hey, it's my car, I could say whatever I want.